Between Life and Death by Jaclyn. Chapter 19. Back at the manor, I dropped the sheer lilac fabric on the bathing room floor, and slipped into the warm tub of water, praising Crete for the gift of indoor plumbing. God's rest his soul. I scrubbed myself vigorously, a ritual to clean more than my body, but also my soul, something that was necessary after working at the bathhouse. With a crisp, white towel wrapped around my torso, I stood in front of the mirror, my freshly scrubbed, rosy red reflection staring back at me. My fingertips gently slid over the light bruising on my neck, her spiteful words echoing in my mind. Clearly, she despised Vaughn. But how could she hate her own flesh and blood that much? What was I missing? The answer felt as far away as Caleb. I sighed. A knock came at the door, loud but patient. I knew who it was. Vaughn's onyx eyes peered down at me as I opened the door. His arm draped over the arched doorway, his large frame consuming it completely. He wore his hair loose, the long black strands trailing over his shoulders. He dressed in casual clothes, a fitted, black tunic that hugged his muscled torso with a wide, tattoo-exposing neckline. He offered me that unparalleled grin, full of swagger and charm and something primal, something dangerous. Yes? I asked. It came out softer, more inviting than I had intended. I cursed my traitorous tongue, cursed the wildness he wore, and how it called to me. His smile slipped. His fingers, warm and gentle, tipped my chin upwards, his eyes narrowing. Who did this to you? His voice was calm, but the flash in his midnight eyes reflected something else entirely. I wondered if something dark did indeed lurk inside. He is a means to an end. Her words chattered in my mind. I hugged my arms around myself, caging the fabric to my frame. I think we need to talk, Vaughn. He did not disagree. One moment. I closed the door and traded my towel for the white cotton robe that hung on the back of the door. After, I joined him in the small seating area by the large bay window that overlooked Bellamore. Two tufted chairs, ivory in color, sat on either side of the window, looking towards it, a round end table between them. A few of the books I picked out from the mansion's library were stacked together, sitting on top of the end table, just waiting to be read. The one titled The Six Curses was of particular interest as I needed to learn more about my dream curse. The other two were for my own gluttonous needs, hopefully filled with smut and morally gray males. I sat in one of the chairs, and although it fit me just fine, Vaughn's body dwarfed his, as if his personality didn't take up enough space. His size ensured it. His arm draped over the arm of the chair, those ringed, tattooed fingers ticking rhythmically like a big cat's tail swishing from side to side. He looked at me, all dark and handsome and broody, his question still standing. I had nothing to gain with a lie, so I served him the truth. I took a stroll around the bathhouse today. I met your sister. I gestured to the bruises on my neck. She was so happy to meet me that she gave me this gorgeous necklace. She seems lovely. His fingers quit ticking. I shifted uncomfortably in my seat. The way he looked right now, there was nothing human about it, and that scared me. But it wasn't fear for my life. Its roots were deeper than that, but no matter how hard I tried, I could not figure out what it was. As if he noted the shift in my mood, his expression changed, a carefully honed mask slipping back into place. He inclined his head. What did she say to you? She warned me to stay away from you. I paused, debating if I should continue, or if I should hold some of my cards. I decided to wait to see what he would say. She's not wrong. Well then. I swallowed his confirmation down, licked my lipstick-stained lips, and continued. She said she refused to help you with something. What did you ask her for help with? I asked for her help in locating an item, he replied, his answer given without hesitation. And yet something about it still felt calculated. I could tell by the way he leisurely surveyed me. Regardless of the lazy, rolling gaze, there was an intensity written in the depths of those onyx eyes. What item? I pressed on, my leg crossing over the other one. My robe fell to the side, exposing a healthy peak of my thigh. I left it like that, just to toy with him. Vaughn noticed. I could tell by the direction of his gaze and the tick in his jaw. He tilted his head and returned his eyes to mine. He held me there, steady. The crown of thorns. The crown of thorns? I did a poor job of hiding my surprise at this, the wide setting of my eyes stating as much. I sloughed it off. Why do you want it? His large hand rubbed his jaw, metal rings catching the dim firelight. Because it is dangerous and needs to be disposed of. It nearly claimed Riker's life. I thought it couldn't be destroyed. That not even the endless mist would take it? At least, that's what Riker had told me. For it to be destroyed, it must be returned to the place where it was created. Where was it created? I asked, leaning forward. Such a curious little kitten, Vaughn's bourbon tone teased. It was forged in the spirit realm, by the god of death, I tacked on. Vaughn simply nodded. I suppose that made sense. The god of death ruled over the spirit realm. Since he made the crown there, it was fitting that was where it could be destroyed. The god of death was said to be wicked and cruel, that he picked his teeth with the bones of the dead. Considering he created something as horrible as the crown of thorns as a gift for his bride, wicked and cruel seemed like vanilla descriptions. Why do you think he made the crown of thorns for his bride? Most people believe it was because the goddess of war was in his ear, that she persuaded him to create it. But no one held a knife to his throat. No, he did it all on his own. His lips flattened, almost tugged back at the corners, as if he felt disgust for the god of death. The look subsided and he added, he was a fool. His dark eyes retracted from the starry night sky, shifting to meet mine. How much do you know about the old gods? I don't know a whole lot, I replied honestly. I know that the old gods were given life by the Creator, and before the new gods were made, they used to preside over all three realms, the spirit realm, the living realm, and the immortal realm. The god of death was the king of the old gods, but under his control, the living realm was caught in a state of decay, so the Creator gave life to the new gods, and asked them to take care of the living realm and immortal realm. I paused, smoothing my robe against my leg. The Creator banished the old gods to the spirit realm. The god of death was not happy about losing the two realms, so he declared war, and tried to take it back. Ultimately, he lost. They say he will try again someday. That's why it is imperative not to worship the old gods, because prayers in his favor will increase his power. I paused, my thoughts skipping ahead. I always thought it would be interesting to learn about the battles, how legendary a war between gods must have been, but any books that would have gone into detail about them are impossible to find thanks to the royal family. Vaughn spoke in his deep baritone. Despite the crown's attempt to erase information about the old gods, there are books that still exist, if one knows where to look. The battles lasted for many years and there were many casualties. Eventually it became so bad, the living realm was nearly destroyed. But contrary to what you learned, the god of death did not lose the war. In fact, he was seconds away from winning it. But he found something he never planned to find, and he withdrew his armies. Later an agreement was made. The two warring sides would be linked together through marriage, the marriage taking place between the king of the old gods and the princess of the new gods. But the marriage never took place because the princess of the new gods, the goddess of life, died. My mouth popped open. I had no idea Lady Light was the god of death's bride. Now that was juicy. Lady Light was known to be a pure and just goddess, a champion of life. Linking her to the god of death would certainly be a dark stain on her impeccable, saintly self. I found the thought oddly satisfying. I also found it a bit confusing as we were taught that Lady Light was wedded to the Lord of Light and their marriage was sacred, eternal. But the more I thought about it, the less confusing it became. The gods and goddesses were immortal, so it was not entirely uncommon for them to change spouses over the decades. If giving her hand to her enemy resulted in peace, then I could understand why she would have agreed to it. I turned to Vaughn. The new religion makes her death seem like she was a martyr, that her death was crucial for the continuation of the living realm. But there is one thing I never understood about her death. I thought the divine were immortal, so how could she die? Vaughn shifted, the too small chair groaning in response. That is a lie, her death was not necessary. And yes, they are immortal. But each god and goddess has a singular weakness. For the princess of the new gods, the woman you call Lady Light, it is the roots of a tree filled with white leaves. The roots feather into long veins covered in thorns. That is her weakness. He paused. The roots are what the god of death used to forge the crown of thorns. I pursed my lips, thinking for a moment. The books on the new gods skimmed over that. They romanticized her death, making it sound like she had passed peacefully in the embrace of the tree. A tree said to never lose its leaves, not even in winter. Another lie. Her death was anything but peaceful. A lot of this was new to me. I wondered how much of the information written in the crown-approved books was a lie, or rather, how much of the truth had been left out. Do you believe they exist? Both old gods and new gods? I asked. I do, he replied without an ounce of hesitation. You don't really seem like the religious type, I countered. On the contrary, darling, he grinned. I am a pious man. I scoffed at that, pivoting from the topic of the gods back to his sister. A blatant shift. I asked, your sister? The scars on her back. What are they from? I didn't care that I was prying into something I had no right to stick my nose into. Curiosity had gotten the better of me. That is not my story to tell, Vaughn said, proving he had more than just physical similarities with his sister. just as she would not reveal what Vaughn asked for help with. He would not talk about the reason for her scars. I licked my lips, fumbling with this next one. She said something about you sucking my soul dry. He laughed, the sound throaty masculine. I squinted. You find that funny? I do, he said, a smile on his full lips. I felt an insatiable need to swipe it off. She also said I was one of your side pieces. Do you find that funny as well? I don't do side pieces, he stated firmly. I sat for a moment, processing. I wasn't sure if I believed him or not. Why does she dislike you so much? She has a number of reasons, but mostly because of our brother. I didn't know you had a brother. Where is he now? Vaughn held my gaze. He is with the dead in the spirit realm. My heart sank. I couldn't imagine what that loss felt like. Caleb had been taken, and I had nearly lost my mind. As if it were instinctual, I moved towards him, and crouched between his legs, my hands falling on his knees. I am so sorry. He leaned forward, his face inches from mine, his voice softer than usual. You do not need to give me any more unnecessary apologies. Yet here I am, I answered, my lashes flickering as I raised my gaze to his. Yet here you are, he repeated as he leaned back in his chair, his thumb and forefinger rolling thin air. His onyx orb studied me intently, purposefully. I realized that Vaughn did not lean back to distance himself. No, it was so he could take all of me in. As if I were a painting, and he had not made up his mind about some perplexing question I imposed. When he parted his lips and rolled his tongue, I realized it was sexual too, like he was debating where he wanted me. I had a feeling it wasn't hung up on a wall but, rather, face down with my fists in the sheets. He leaned forward, his mouth beside my ear. Would you like me to show you just how devout I can be? His proximity elicited a shiver to roll down the length of my spine. I licked my lips, knowing full well I was dipping into dangerous waters. Yes, a wicked grin. I will start by getting down on my knees, he purred, his voice a sinister thing. This proud warrior kneeling before me? The thought made me weak. Then, I whispered, my throat bound in thistles. He pulled back, just enough so I could see his face. His gaze, a scalding black flame, met mine. I will spread these glorious thighs. Slowly, his fingertips slid up my legs. My skin tingled in the wake of his featherlight touch. I swallowed. And then, he brought his mouth close to mine, close enough I could taste each word. I will worship you with my tongue. My breath caught in my throat. Was I ready for this? I took one look at that sinfully built male looking down at me and I balked. God's damn it. Awkwardly, I shot to my feet. It's late, I stammered, backing up. Excuses. Vaughn chuckled softly as he stood, a dark king rising from his throne, a predator emerging from the shadows, and he was coming straight for me. Ringed, tattooed fingers grabbed my chin, a hand clutching my hip as he backed me against the wall with a thud. My heart echoed the sound. His lips feathered mine. I want nothing more than to taste, to fill, to claim every inch of you, to sink myself into you so deeply, that you will never get me out. I want to mar you so badly, you will be ruined from ever wanting to kiss another, fuck another, love another. I will devour you, kitten, and when I'm finished, I will do it all over again. I let out a shaky breath, words escaping me. Vaughn handed me a soul-damning smile. So you best pray to the Creator, little goddess, because the next time we have a moment like this, I will collect what is mine. When I do, there will be no redemption for either of us. He pulled away, the shadows parting as he strode towards the door, leaving without saying another word. I slid down from the wall, into a puddle on the floor, both hands fanning my feverish cheeks. The fire beneath my skin was scalding me alive, and he was the one who had lit the match.